Hi, I'm Lori Betts. This month, my special guest is Jessie Kane, and she is from Medina Metropolitan Housing Authority. And she has a lot of good new information to share with us, so come on back.
Attention, ghosts, ghouls, and every other creature of the night. Trick-or-treating in the city of Brunswick is October 31st from 6 to 8 p.m. Be safe and enjoy.
Welcome to Golden Years. I'm interviewing Jessie Kane, and she is from Medina Metropolitan Housing Authority. And a lot of you out there might think, what does all that verbiage mean? So Jessie's going to explain it to us and give us an update. So Jessie, tell my viewers a little bit about your background.
Sure. So I started my career as a case manager at the United Way Summit Medina, working with those who were homeless or experiencing some type of housing crisis. And then I moved to the Medina Housing Authority, where I was overseeing rental assistance programs for those who were experiencing homelessness or a housing crisis, such as like homeless prevention needs and various housing crises. And then once the shelter had opened, then I became the program director for our emergency housing assistance programs, which includes our rapid rehousing programs, our homeless prevention programs, some of our hotel funding programs, and then of course, the new shelter.
And you sound like there's a lot of programs. So let's start with your newest. Let's talk about Next Step Up.
Yep, so Next Step Up is Medina County's first ever emergency housing shelter. So the very first facility in the county that is strictly meant for those who are facing a homelessness crisis. And
what does that mean?
Yeah, so that's someone who could be living on the street, homelessness, so that could be living in their vehicle, living in a place not meant for habitation, so that could be in their vehicle, on a park bench, outside somewhere. It could be in a unit, in a housing unit that maybe doesn't have utilities, or it's just not habitable to live in. Or it could be if you're getting like a hotel paid for by a provider or an agency that helps cover hotels for those experiencing homelessness. So homelessness has a broader definition, but it's those who truly have nowhere to go that night.
And that's just so sad. I mean, we live in our houses and we go on every day with our everyday life, and you don't realize people are facing these dilemmas.
Yep.
You know, whether it's new or whether it's lifelong.
And oftentimes in Medina County, homelessness is not seen. In some other bigger urban areas where you would see it on the street, that's not the case in Medina County. You see it, you know, family or friends might reach out to us and say, hey, I know someone, or we might see it when we do our annual pit count, but it's a lot harder to see, and oftentimes seeing is believing, but it's here, it's really happening, and the crisis is very much in our community.
So what is their criteria? I mean, they have to live, or history of living in Medina?
So they do not have to be Medina County residents. We can accept basically everybody, but as part of their case plan, wherever you're from is where we want to get you back to, because that's where your natural supports are. So if you're from Cuyahoga County, you probably have family there or you have friends there. What we want to do is, of course, shelter you, but also get you back to your resources, get you back to what is going to help you. So you'll work with your case manager on what that looks like. And of course, people do come to shelter and they want to put their roots down in Medina County. It's a great county, and we empower them to do that. But it really starts during that first case management session. You know, where are you from? What does that look like? Let's get you to where you want to go to be successful.
Wow, interesting. So is there criteria that they have to, I mean, you just don't open the door and say, here, you can have a room.
Correct. Yeah. So everyone that calls or comes in for shelter, they go through a screening process. So that screening process basically goes through a series of questions, asking a series of questions. Where did you sleep last night? Talks about your resources, what you have, maybe what you don't have. And then from there, we basically, if we have a shelter bed available, we will enter you into shelter. We do not allow registered sex offenders or someone who's on the arson registry. Next Step Up serves men, women, and children. So we have to be very careful with registered sex offenders because there's children there.
Yeah.
So everything else, and we understand that homelessness often comes with criminal histories, comes with barriers for people. So we don't want to become a high barrier shelter. So if you get your background check done, you're not a registered sex offender, you've never committed arson, never been convicted of arson, then we allow you, of course, to enter to get shelter.
Now, is there help like 24/7?
Yes.
Oh.
Yep, so the shelter is open 24/7, 365 days a year. So we can do an intake at all hours of the day, all hours of the night. And that's because, and sometimes if a police officer finds someone in a parking lot and at 3 a.m, we want to be there. We want to be available to enter someone. So staff is ready to intake people 24/7.
Wow, that's interesting. All right. And that's good to know because you don't know what the whole story is and
Right.
how it happened. And if it's like a marital dispute, you know, you
Yep.
want that other person safe.
Sure.
And
Yep.
if there's children involved, you want them to be safe.
Yep.
So where is this house located?
Yeah, so Next Step Up's located at 850 Walter Road. So it's off of Court Street. So it's on the campus of all of the human services agencies. So it's about 300 yards away from Hope Recovery. It's right across the street from Job and Family Services. You have Veterans Administration right there.
Oh, yeah, right.
So the location, which was formerly our old office building, we gave that up to have the shelter there. But even in the first 6 months, we are seeing just the location utilized
Oh, I bet.
for what we intended it to. It's, you know, we have clients who need to get their benefits or need to work with alternative paths or the Mental Health Recovery Board. It's a quick walk there, and it's a quick walk for the providers to come to us. So the location for us was prime, but it's benefiting those in our community who need it the most.
So at one time, if it's full, how many are you helping?
So we have 27 full-size beds, and then we have 2 cribs. So 29 people total can be served. We also allow for pets.
I was going to ask about pets.
As needed. It's important. It was important for us to make sure that we were as low barrier as possible. So pets are oftentimes a barrier for those accepting shelter because other shelters just don't have a pet area or somewhere to go for pets. So having that area makes people feel better because that's their family. So we do allow for pets as well, but in total, 27 beds plus 2 cribs.
Is there a time frame that they stay?
Yeah, so we don't put a time frame on it because if you put a time frame on someone's stay in a safe, stable environment, they kind of go into this fight or flight mode. And the second they know that there's a time, that's all they think about. It's so consuming for our guests. So we don't like to put a time on it because of that. But if they're not working on their plan, so when someone comes into shelter, they start working on an individualized housing plan. If they aren't making progress on that, or simply they're just not ready to take their next step, we will have to discharge them. But we don't like to give a time just because everyone's situation, everyone's case is so different. So it's hard to put a time on that.
So how many caseworkers do you have?
Yeah, we have one case manager who's located at the shelter.
Oh my goodness.
We have a shelter manager who oversees like the day-to-day. We have a community manager who oversees the second shift. And then we have several management assistants who really are the backbone.
I would think so, because that poor caseworker is
Yeah.
probably ready to pull his or her hair out.
And she works weekly with our guests. So from the moment that they come into shelter, we give them a couple days to decompress and to settle and to learn the routines and to have like a woosah moment. And then a couple days in, she'll meet with them and she starts to understand why they're here. Next step up is a very trauma-informed environment.
Oh, it has to be.
So it's very, how did you get here? We never have the mindset of like, what happened to you? Why, like, it's how did you get here? Tell me a little bit about why you're homeless and what led you here. If we can understand why their homelessness occurred or why they've been in homelessness for so long, we can best assist them and connect them to resources and providers and agencies who maybe they didn't have the connections to or they weren't accessible to them.
So, like, are there any people who, like, and I shouldn't say a man, but who is just so negative that, like, nothing's ever going to help me and I'm at the end and I'm done? And...
Yeah, I think it happens. And I think with homelessness, that is a very common mindset to have because you feel like you've given up, that there's just simply nothing else to help you. But when someone else enters Next Step Up, we want to kind of get them out of that mindset because we know it's not the end. While their end might be different than everyone else's, we want to make sure that they have an opportunity to have a better place, you know. We really do strive to give them an opportunity to take the next step on. Maybe it's their own unit with their own lease, maybe it's connecting with a family member or friend, but it's difficult experiencing homelessness and feeling like there's nothing else you can do, but our staff is truly so trauma informed that we try to work with our guests to get them out of that mindset.
Sure. And I'm sure it's very challenging.
Yeah.
Because you have how many people and how many different personalities.
Yep.
And then you have the oh me, oh my, and then you have the people like, okay, I want to get help and I want to move on.
Yep. And some people are ready for housing. Some people are truly ready to come in and they know that this is an opportunity for them. And they're ready to work their case plan and do what they have to do. Some people aren't, and we know that. But we still try to provide everyone with the same amount of resources. Everyone deserves it. Everyone deserves to be sheltered, and maybe shelter isn't appropriate for them now, but who's to say it won't be appropriate when they're ready?
Okay. And when they reach your doorstep, I mean, then they're in this system, and then you could deal with them and say, this is what's out there for you. Because a lot of people are unaware of what actually Medina County offers people.
Sure.
You know, when you're down and out and you don't have the resources and you're jobless, you know, you are reaching out for help.
Yeah, and the Housing Authority, we play a really unique role in Medina County. We serve as Medina County's like coordinated entry system. So we are the access point. So what that means is anybody in the county who's experiencing a housing crisis should call us. And a lot of our partners, a lot of our agencies and organizations around here, they know that. So we're the main point of contact. So we can, even if we can't help them, we can provide whoever's calling with resources that might be able to help. So Medina County is so great about centralizing the resources and the assistance that it's one number, they call us, and then we can kind of screen out where we feel like people would be best served. But we give out resources all the time to, even if we can't help them, we will give resources out.
You have a lot on your plate.
Yeah.
All right, Jessie, we're going to take a quick break. Come on back because she's a wealth of information. And this is like another tiny secret in Medina County that if you walk every day through your own daily life, you're unaware that what is out there. So come on back and we're going to learn more.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
Welcome back to Golden Years. I'm Lori Betts and I'm interviewing Jessie Kane, and she is educating us on all the updates of Medina Metropolitan Housing Authority. And we were just talking about next step up. And I just want to share with the group, because I always bring up 100 Plus Women. That is a wonderful organization in Medina. It's a group of women who started it 20 years ago. I can't remember how many years, but we come together 4 times a year, and it's going to cost the people in the audience, all we have to do is write a check, and the cost of it is like $100 a year. So unless you want to be in a group of 2 times a year, which would be $50 a year, but all that money goes to that individual organization that names go in a bowl, your name gets picked up, you speak about the organization. Debbie did a wonderful job speaking about it, and then we in the audience will vote. And it's just phenomenal because we help so many nonprofits in Medina County, and it's educating everybody. I mean, we learned about so many nonprofits like clothing, the Giving Place. It just goes on and on and on. And like I said, when we live in our little houses, we go to work every day, and if we're not out in that real world, I mean, there is such a big need. So kudos. So I'm glad you guys were the recipients of that money. And where did you put that money into Next Step, correct?
Yep. So Next Step Up is a nonprofit. So the Housing Authority is not a nonprofit, but Next Step Up is a nonprofit. So we use that money to help guests transition out of shelter. So all of the funds that we were so overcome by when we heard that we were awarded the funds, they help guests transition out of shelter. So that might mean furniture items, basic household items, just to help them transition so they have a little bit of a head start when they move in.
How else does the residents or community of Medina County support?
We will get donations from churches, other organizations.
Monetary or?
Both. So we do accept in-kind donations as well. We accept things like hygiene products, cleaning supplies. Some of those get used in the shelter for our guests every single day, but we do something called Next Step Up baskets. So what that is when someone transitions to their own unit, we kind of give them a head start. So we provide them with a laundry basket, and we will fill it with supplies so that when they get to their units, it's one less thing they have to worry about.
What a neat idea.
Yeah, and when people are in shelter, they don't have much. So our guests are overwhelmed by these baskets when we show up with them, and they're like, this is one less thing I have to worry about. And the community has been so supportive in making sure that our guests are transitioning out of shelter with the baskets.
So where does the money come from for food?
So our guests provide their own food. So
Okay,
yeah,
so that's their responsibility.
yeah,
Okay.
we have a full kitchen. So we have a full-size kitchen that our guests cook for themselves. They grocery shop for themselves. And the idea behind that is it gives our guests a sense of accountability. It empowers them. We don't
Exactly.
want to be providing everything for them, because when they go out and they get their own units and they go out and they're on their own, these are things that they're going to have to do. So it just kind of teaches them the skills, and it just kind of builds accountability for them. But we also have churches and organizations who come in and provide meals. So once a month, we'd have various groups come in and they bring enough food for 27 people and they serve it like buffet style. And gives our guests a sense of humanization.
Really?
Because it allows, of course, our guests don't have to provide the meal that night, but just people coming in and just wanting to talk to our guests and just getting to know them, it gives them a sense of normalcy, which oftentimes in shelters doesn't happen, but it allows them to feel heard. It allows them to feel human again. It allows them to feel good that people want to come and do this.
Exactly.
So we have both, of course, volunteers bring in food, but then they get all the food themselves.
Because you don't want them to say, okay, you're going to give everything to me on a silver platter.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'll just bide my time and see what happens.
Yep.
Okay, so what other programs does Medina Housing
Yeah, so
Authority do?
Yeah, so the emergency programming, we do rapid rehousing programming. So that is very short-term rental assistance for those who are experiencing homelessness. So that could be maybe a first month's rent and a security deposit. It's not meant to be a long-term funding. It's really just to get people back on their feet.
But that you would have to be Medina
Yes.
resident.
Yep,
Yes.
yep.
Okay.
And all of our rental assistance programs have to go through something we call prioritization. So basically, to be picked for these programs, you have to have the most need. And the way that we find out who is in the most need is we call it a HARP tool. It's basically a vulnerability tool it's a questionnaire that all of our clients and all of our guests fill out. And that tool determines what the need is and then who is eligible for the funding. So all of our rental assistance programs, you can't just come into our office and say, hey, I want this program. You basically have to be picked based on the vulnerability screening for the programming. We also have Shelter Plus Care programming. So that is for those who are homeless and have a federally defined disability. And that's a rental assistance program where the client would pay 30% of their income. So it's a long-term housing voucher, but it assists those, still gives them accountability to make sure that they're paying the 30%, but there's case management involved in both programming. So there's always someone from our team who is advocating, who's mediating with landlords. So there's a case manager that helps someone with various things that they might need. And then, of course, the Housing Authority, we own and manage the Housing Choice Voucher Program. We own and manage other housing units in the county. We assist over 1,300 households a month just with our other programming. Yeah, wow. So we do a lot more than the shelter, but we assist a lot of people in Medina County with various programming and housing programs and things like that.
So share with my viewers, like, let's say if they come on a downfall, and they might feel that they might need some help.
Sure.
What would be their first step to reach out?
Yeah, so the first step is contacting our office. So the great thing about the Housing Authority is that the number that you would call our main line will get you connected to everybody. So it's just one number that you would call. You'd call our main office, and then they would say the need over the phone, and then you'd be transferred to the correct department.
Wow,
So,
easy.
Yeah, it's very centralized to make it as easy as possible, just so people aren't dialing different numbers and getting confused. Even the shelter, if someone's experiencing homelessness that night, the phones will transfer from our main office to the shelter after hours. So it's 24/7. If someone hits number 2 prompt to go to the emergency department, it'll get transferred to the shelter.
How big is the need for people? Are they all coming from Cuyahoga to Medina, or?
Nope. We are seeing, the shelter's been open since the end of February. We are seeing almost 80% are Medina County residents.
Wow.
So they are our neighbors, they are our friends who are falling on hard times. And our emergency team, they receive over 200 calls a month from within Medina County who are experiencing homelessness, or they're getting an eviction notice, or their landlord just increased the rent and now it's over their fixed income and they can't pay. Various housing crises get filtered through our agency, but it's over 200 calls a month. And those aren't duplicated for those who have some type of housing need. They're all not homeless needs. They're not all those sleeping on the street or in their cars, but it's someone who is in a crisis that they just need some help figuring out.
So what happens if Mrs. Jones calls and says, I really feel my daughter's having a hard time and she's got 2 little children? Do you guys reach out, or?
So we would have the client reach out. We would have that person reach out. And the second they say children, we would know to hook them up with Job and Family Services for their PRC, which is Prevention Retention Contingency. And the great thing about Medina County is that we have so many agencies, so many partners who can help with these very specific needs. So coming through us, being centralized through us, we can kind of point them in the right direction to see if there's agencies that can help them.
That's awesome. And my good friend Joyce Giles, who is not with us anymore, her big word was collaboration. Medina is known for collaboration because there's so many nonprofits and profits, so many entities that are here to help the end user.
Absolutely, yeah, and we've seen that even with the first 6 months we've been open. Groups come in for programming. They do workforce development. They talk about what their agency does. But it's helpful from a guest perspective because when a guest enters, staff, if they aren't, up to date on how to serve, we can reach out to an agency and get help for them. So those who enter shelter with various needs, maybe it's mental health, maybe it's substance use disorder, maybe it's recovery or treatment, or any of the facets, we have people to call, and we are so thankful for that because if we didn't have them,
You'd be scrambling.
yeah,
And how would you help?
yep.
Well, Jessie, thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for
You
having
are a wealth of information. Thanks for joining us this month, and we will see you next month.
Attention, ghosts, ghouls, and every other creature of the night. Trick-or-treating in the city of Brunswick is October 31st from 6 to 8 p.m. Be safe and enjoy.